The room is completely silent, but within your head, it feels like a train terminal during rush hour. You can feel the heaviness in the air, the unspoken tension of the person sitting next to you, and the buzzing anxiety of a world that never seems to sleep. People tell you to just toughen up or stop overthinking, but you know it isn't that simple. You aren't just imagining things, you are perceiving everything, all at once at full volume. But here is the twist. Even though the world is noisy, the real source of that crushing weight in your chest isn't actually coming from the outside. It's originating from the parts of yourself you have locked in the basement. Carl Jung, a pioneer in exploring the human mind, had a theory that explains exactly why sensitive types feel so drained, and it has nothing to do with energy vampires. He said, "What you do not bring to consciousness returns as fate." For an empath, this is critical. Life is trying to show you something, but you are often too busy fixing everyone else's problems to listen. You scroll through social media, you overcommit to plans you dread, and you absorb other people's chaos like a high-speed sponge just to avoid facing your own inner silence. I am going to walk you through why this happens and how to break the cycle. No crystals, no burning sage, just raw psychology. By the end of this, you will understand why your sensitivity feels like a burden and how to flip the switch to turn it into your greatest strength. Here is the trap most intuitives fall into. You think your pain is caused by the external world, the difficult boss, the needy partner, or the tragic headlines on the news. And sure, those things are huge. But that paralyzed feeling you wake up with, that comes from disconnecting from your own personality to survive. Think about it. Since you were a kid, you learned how to read the room. If a parent was angry or stressed, you adapted. You became the peacemaker, the quiet one, or the perfect student, just to keep the emotional climate stable. You became an expert chameleon. However, when you spend decades playing a role to keep the peace, the real you starts to suffocate. Your brain knows it is living a lie. That anxiety you feel isn't just nerves, it is an internal alarm system. It is your gut screaming that you have abandoned the driver's seat of your own life. It is not loneliness that hurts you. It is the emptiness of standing in a room full of people and realizing you left your true self at the door. But here is where it gets interesting. Jung called this rejected part of you the shadow. And contrary to what horror movies teach us, the shadow isn't evil. It is just hidden. For feelers, the shadow is filled with everything you decided was dangerous to feel. Your anger, shoved down because nice people don't get mad. Your selfishness, buried because you felt you had to be the caretaker. Your ambition, hidden because you didn't want to make others feel small. However, these things don't disappear. They fester. Have you ever snapped at someone for something tiny, like leaving a wet towel on the bed, and felt an intense rage that shocked you? That is your shadow leaking out. It is the part of you that is tired of being stepped on. Jung suggested that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will drive your life, and you will call it fate. You think you end up in bad relationships by bad luck? No. Subconscious patterns often lead us there because your soul is desperate to show the boundaries you refuse to set. So, how do you fix this? You have to stop running and start the confrontation. And I am not going to lie to you, this part is brutal. It requires looking in the mirror and admitting, I am not just a victim, I am also a player. You must look at your dark side. As an empath, you pride yourself on being kind and understanding, but you have to accept that you also have the capacity to be cruel, selfish, and judgmental. And that is okay. It makes you human, not a monster. Start by writing it down. Grab a notebook and list the things you would never say out loud. The petty thoughts, the resentments, the secret wish that everyone would just leave you alone for a week. When you drag these thoughts into the light, they shrink. They stop controlling you from behind the scenes. This brings us to the idea of pain as a doorway. Most people treat emotional hurt like a software bug, something to be repaired or deleted. But for you, pain is a function. It is data. Imagine you put your hand on a hot stove. The pain isn't there to punish you, it exists to make you move your hand. Emotional pain works the same way. If you feel drained every time you hang out with a specific group of friends, that isn't a defect in your compassion. That is your intuition shouting, "This environment is exhausting, get out." When you stop trying to numb the ache and start decoding it, everything changes. That crushing pressure becomes a guide. It points exactly to where you need to place a boundary or speak a hard truth. Jung called the final goal of this process individuation. It is a fancy word for becoming whole. It means you stop trying to be a good person and start being a whole person. You integrate the shadow. You realize that your ability to feel deeply is balanced by your capacity to protect yourself fiercely. Suddenly, you can walk into a crowded room and feel the energy without drowning in it. You can see someone hurting and offer empathy without taking their pain back to your house in your pocket. You stop saying yes when you actually mean no way. This is real freedom. It isn't about fixing the world, it is about ending the war within your own body. You have a choice right now. You can go back to sleep, keep playing the role of the exhausted savior, and wonder why you're so tired. Or you can take responsibility. You can accept that your sensitivity is a superpower, but only if you are the one controlling the flow. The journey isn't easy, and you will have to disappoint some people who got used to your lack of boundaries. But the reward is finally meeting the person you were meant to be before society told you who to be. The pain was not a punishment. It was just the wake-up call. The question is, are you finally going to pick up the phone?